Welcome to the Slightly Greener Life podcast. This is your host, Tanya Harris. I am an award-winning environmental toxin expert, best-selling author, and mother of three. I created this podcast as a place to help busy moms ditch the overwhelm and start living a low-toxin life. Now, let's get into this week's episode. Hi there, and welcome to episode 19 of the Slightly Greener Life. I'm going to dig right in because today's topic is one of my favorites because it has to do with non-toxic cleaning, which has really become one of my favorite topics, believe it or not. And the reason for that is because once I really dug in to figure out how to make my cleaning less toxic, I realized how easy and how cheap it can be to actually do a non-toxic clean. So there are a lot of product labels out there that are confusing and a lot of misleading terms, but I can teach you how to read food labels and personal care and cosmetic labels, but one thing I can't easily teach you is how to read cleaning product labels. And the reason for that is because cleaning product companies aren't required to list individual ingredients on the label. For competition reasons, most cleaning product companies want to keep their formulations proprietary or a trade secret. So typically, you will not see a full ingredient list on a cleaning product label. The Environmental Protection Agency only requires companies to list active disinfecting ingredients and chemicals of known concern on their labels. And that's a little bit tricky here with the word known because there aren't any safety testing requirements for most cleaning chemicals in cleaning products. And an example of this is one common all-purpose spray that is typically marketed as a safer cleaner. And I'm not sure if I can mention the brand name here, but I will have the label on my website at slightlygreener.com/episode 19. But the ingredient list just says 5% citric acid and 95% inert ingredient. That's the entire label for the ingredient part. That's pretty vague. It's really hard to read these labels. And then there's greenwashing. Greenwashing is a marketing tactic that's used by companies to make their products appear more environmentally friendly and most likely more environmentally friendly than they actually are. When we're talking about cleaning products, greenwashing is when a company uses terms like natural or eco-friendly or green on their labels or marketing materials, but their products can still contain harmful chemicals. Or the terms green or eco-friendly can be used to describe the product packaging, but the product itself may not be any safer or better for the environment than other conventional cleaning products. So eco-friendly typically means that the product is better for the environment. It's usually made with sustainable ingredients or made from environmentally friendly materials. And it usually uses energy efficient manufacturing practices that reduces the carbon footprint. But the problem with these terms is that they're not regulated. And also, none of these terms mean that the product is safer for humans. There are not any qualifications for a cleaner to be considered green or eco-friendly. And these are unregulated terms that many manufacturers use on the label that don't really have a universal meaning. And different organizations may have different criteria for what makes a product green or eco-friendly. Some of the ingredients used in conventional store-bought cleaners, even the eco-friendly ones, can irritate the lungs, eyes, and or throat. They can cause breathing problems, including worsening asthma symptoms, and they can cause allergic reactions such as eczema or skin rash. And they can also cause headaches in addition to other health effects and symptoms. I get asked a lot about what to look for in a cleaner and is there a label to be on the lookout for to know if a product is actually safe? And I wish I had a more clear answer. While there are some legitimate third-party certifications like Eco Logo and Safer Choice, the products that earn these labels for their environmental commitment may still contain harmful chemicals. Another example is a product that uses the EPA's Safer Choice logo still has ethoxylated ingredients, which are typically contaminated with 1,4-dioxane, which is a potential cancer causer that is also linked to organ damage. And it lists surfactants on the label, so we don't know which ones were used. And then you see the word fragrance, and it doesn't list the exact fragrance formula. It also has methyl isothiazolinone, which is a mouthful, but this is an allergen and a skin irritant, and studies are showing that it may also have damaging effects on the nervous system. So that's why sometimes it really is good that they are trying to become more environmentally friendly, but at the same time, we can see that it still can contain ingredients that are harmful to human health. I'll put an example of this logo on my website also with that ingredient list. Another certification is Made Safe, which is a well-respected certification, and you can find their list of approved products at madesafe.org. But if you're looking for a long list of safer cleaning products at the time of this recording, they only have 14 cleaners listed. So the downside of looking for certain certifications to make sure a product is safe is that not all safer or non-toxic cleaning products will have a certification on them. Just like the high cost of earning the USDA organic seal for foods, it typically costs companies money for testing. And then to use the certification logo, they sometimes have to license it each year, which can also be expensive. So in my opinion, it's better to educate yourself on what to look for and what to be aware of on a label, because for various reasons, expense probably being one of them, there are a lot of great products out there that don't have any certifications at all on the label. And the great news is that you have options, whether you're the DIY, do-it-yourself type, or what I like to call the BIY, or buy-it-yourself type. And since I don't want to read a lot of long chemical names here, I will put a couple of cleaning product labels on my website of a conventional cleaning product that has toxic chemicals and a non-toxic cleaning product on my website. The difference is huge. So you can find them at slightlygreener.com/episode 19. And I also want to mention that not all chemicals are bad. Just about everything is a chemical, including oxygen. So when you see a long chemical name on a cleaning product or even on a personal care or a beauty product, it's not necessarily harmful. And the cleaning products that I recommend will have a simple list of ingredients. But there are some out there that are still less toxic cleaners that have long chemical names. But for me, I like to keep it simple, and there are so many great cleaning products out there with a small, simple list of ingredients. Plus, it's so easy to make your own. And the cleaning products you'll see me recommend here and in my membership have a very simple list of ingredients. So if you don't think you want to DIY it, here are some ingredients to look for. Castile soap is one of those ingredients. You might also see essential oils. You can see lemon, salt, baking soda, or sometimes you'll see it as sodium bicarbonate. Organic saponified oils like jojoba or coconut oil. And this is something you'll see on the product label of one of my favorite all-purpose cleaners, which is Vermont Soap's Liquid Sunshine Spray and Wipe. So some of my favorite cleaning product companies are Vermont Soap and, of course, electrolyzed water, which I think everyone should be using. And I mention that product in just about every interview I do. And I have mentioned it several times on this podcast, including in last week's episode on less toxic ways to disinfect. So I'll link to both of these on my website, along with a couple others at slightlygreener.com/episode 19. And if you find cleaning product labels confusing, and really who doesn't, then DIYing it is always a good option. So remember in the first couple episodes, I told you how non-domestic I am? Well, it's very true. I don't like to cook, and I can screw up a grilled cheese sandwich, no joke, and cooking is not my forte. But I can dive into some ingredients in my pantry and create about 4 cleaning products in under 2 minutes and with no mess. So that is my kind of cooking. And it really is easier than it sounds, I pinky promise. The big advantage to DIY is that you get to control the ingredients and you know exactly what's in it, making it safer for everyone in your family, including kids and pets. The other big advantage is that making your own is a lot cheaper. Most of the ingredients are already in your pantry. So I have a cleaning resource library coming up that I am in the process of putting the finishing touches on called Green Your Clean, which I'm super excited about because it has non-toxic ways to clean just about every surface in your house. But in the meantime, I'll give you a couple of my favorite DIY cleaners here. The first one is for a DIY window cleaner. So regular store-bought window cleaners can contain ingredients that are harmful to your health, surprisingly. Here are just a few of the toxic ingredients on the label of a popular window cleaner. The first one is fragrance, which we've mentioned a few times that it's considered to be a trade secret and can be made up of dozens of different toxic chemicals that aren't required to be listed on the label. There's also glycol ether listed, which is linked to asthma, fertility issues, and damage to red blood cells. And then there is sodium lauryl sulfate, which is linked to the potential cancer causer 1,4-dioxane. And finally, this window cleaner contains MEA, which is an ethanolamine. And among other health risks, it can be contaminated with cancer-causing nitrosamines. So that's a lot of info, and you don't need to memorize that because I've got you covered. Because I'm going to give you a very simple DIY window cleaner here. And it works just as well as store-bought cleaners, and it will save a lot of money in the long run because it is just a simple mix of white vinegar and distilled water. So you're just going to add a 50-50 mix of each to a glass spray bottle and use it as you would a regular window cleaner. And you can add just a couple drops of lemon essential oil or some type of citrus essential oil. to the mix for a fresh, clean scent, but you don't have to do that. The vinegar does have a scent, but it fades really quickly, I promise. So the first time you use this, it actually might streak, and that's because conventional window cleaners can leave a wax film buildup behind. So to get rid of this, just spray the glass with rubbing alcohol and wipe it down, and then spray it again with the DIY window cleaner, and that should take care of it. So it's as simple as that, just using white vinegar and distilled water. So you might be wondering why I'm specifically saying distilled water, and that's because other water can have mineral deposits in it, or if you have hard water, sometimes that can happen. So you don't want to leave those deposits behind that can kind of leave either streak marks or speckled marks. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So distilled water is the water I recommend. And I just go to the store and every once in a while I'll just buy a gallon because it lasts a long time and it's just really a cheap, simple way to clean. Another great DIY cleaner is just an all-purpose cleaner. And you can do this just by using approximately 1 tablespoon of unscented or scented liquid Castile soap. You can use 8 to 10 drops of your favorite pure essential oil. I like to use lemon or citrus if I'm going to add anything. And again, some distilled water. And all you're going to do is fill the spray bottle with the distilled water. Then you're going to add the 1 tablespoon of liquid unscented or scented Castile soap and your essential oils. And then you're going to shake it before you use it. And that's as simple as that. And the one thing I will say is if you do a DIY cleaner, make sure that if you use essential oils that it goes into a glass bottle and not plastic, because those essential oils can actually kind of eat through the plastic. The last DIY recipe I'll give you today is a degreasing formula. So when it comes to degreasers, degreasing cleaning products can contain ingredients that can easily cut through grease and grime, but they often have harsh chemicals like ammonia. And not only is making your own degreasers at home more budget friendly, but it can really reduce your overall exposure to toxic chemicals. In addition to ammonia, some degreasing formulas can typically contain ingredients like ethanolamines, which are linked to occupational asthma. They can be irritating or corrosive to skin and can cause respiratory issues such as coughing and wheezing. And they can also be contaminated with cancer-causing nitrosamines. There's another one called alkyl dimethyl ammonium chloride, and that is a quaternary ammonium compound, also known as a quat, which sometimes we hear about those because they can be quite harmful. And this particular one can trigger asthma symptoms in those with asthma already, and asthma-like symptoms in those with no prior diagnosis. It can also cause severe skin burns and eye damage. And propylene glycol butyl ether, which is linked to skin and eye irritation, shortness of breath, and coughing. Instead, you can make a simple stovetop degreaser with just 2 ingredients, baking soda and white vinegar. All you need to do is combine 2 tablespoons of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of water, and then stir it together to make a paste. And if you want extra degreasing power, add a few drops of orange or lemon essential oils. If you've ever used lemon essential oil to remove a sticky label, it works the same way here. So all you have to do is spread the paste over the dirty surface like a stovetop, let it sit and dry, and then scrub it using a soft sponge. And make sure to scrub gently so you don't scratch the surface. And then lightly spray vinegar over the paste to make it fizz, making it even easier to clean because sometimes you can actually see it lift up the stain or whatever dirt and grime is on the stovetop. This is for a regular stovetop, so if you do have a glass or some type of other stovetop, you might want to be more careful. And I do have some more recipes in my Green Your Clean course that's coming out. So just make sure that you're using this type of recipe on a regular gas stovetop. Again, don't worry, the vinegar scent fades quickly, but if you do want to lessen the scent, you can dilute the vinegar with a 50-50 combination of white vinegar and distilled water, like the window cleaner, in a spray bottle. You can also add 8 to 10 drops of orange or lemon or citrus, whatever your favorite essential oil is, to help cover the scent. And plus, that adds a little extra degreasing boost. So those are just a couple of DIY recipes to get you started, but they really can go a long way. And I'll link those recipes along with the safer cleaners on my website at slightlygreener.com/episode 19. So make sure you check that out. And I know how confusing it can be when it comes to reading product labels and trying to figure out if a product really is safer or non-toxic. And with so many misleading claims, you almost need a doctorate in ingredient names and label terms to really determine what is in a cleaning product. Greenwashing is unfortunately pretty common when it comes to cleaning products, but now that you know some of the terms to be aware of and which ingredients to look for, you'll have truly safer cleaners in no time, whether you DIY it or BIY it. And stay tuned, Green Your Clean is coming soon, so make sure you're on my email list or following me on social media. I'm Slightly Greener on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So follow me on one or all of those platforms so you make sure you don't miss when it's announced. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Slightly Greener Life podcast. Please take a moment to subscribe to the show, and then be sure to share it with a friend who you know wants simple steps to living in this complex world. I'll see you next time.